Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the three hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, you know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Are you a film fan who loves the ultimate home video experience? Look no further than The Disconnected. Your host, Ryan Verrill, is your go-to source for the latest and most accurate information on home video releases, exclusive interviews with industry insiders and filmmakers, and has established a thriving community where every film and physical media enthusiast feels welcome. From hidden gems to blockbuster hits, The Disconnected brings you insider knowledge and a welcoming space to share your love of cinema. Watch every Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific for the live announcements show and follow The Disconnected on social media to stay updated. Subscribe to The Disconnected on YouTube or on the podcast provider of your choice and dive into a world where every movie night is an adventure.
Cambridge and Rashawn is a Weirding Way Media podcast.
Roosevelt Franklin.
Let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please won't you be my
damn dirty ape?
Hello and welcome to Cambridge and Washawn, episode 27. This is Mark Begley, one of your two co-hosts, and joining me is the other two co-hosts.
This is Ronnie, otherwise known as Skelevator over on YouTube and Instagram, those worlds. I'm real excited about today, Mark. We've got a lot to talk about.
You say that every time.
That's my script. I have it written down right here. I'm really excited about today, Mark. We have a lot to talk about. It says it right there.
So, Cambridge and Washawn is a show by two very normal guys about the very normal things that they like. Yeah. And if you think it's weird, I don't know what's wrong with you.
That's a good way of putting it.
I thought I'd flip the script on our descriptions since I started to feel a little bit down about being viewed as a weirdo.
Well, what the fuck is weird anyways?
It's self-induced, though, so that's okay.
We can call ourselves weird, but if you guys call us weird, something's wrong with you.
Oh, them's fighting words. No, I don't care. You can call me whatever you want. I couldn't care less.
I should probably take Mark's stance on this, too.
It is kind of weird that...
By the way, Mark, that's kind of like my life motto, is I should probably take Mark's stance on this.
Not on everything. Maybe on a few things. Not caring about what other people think about you is a good stance.
That's a good place to think that. Yeah,
I have a lot of other stances that are a bit wobbly. Unintended.
As we all do.
Yes, as a personal aside for me right now. I'm a little wobbly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do you want to do first? Talk about what we've gotten since the last episode. Get into our main items for today.
Let's talk about that stuff first, because I'm really excited about...
I gave you two options.
What you got. You sent me a picture of a box.
I did. It was smashed.
It was smashed. Listen, folks, Mark doesn't tell me what's in some of these things.
Well, you know
sometimes.
One of them. Yeah, right.
I know one of them, and you know one of mine, too.
Right, because they're the same thing.
We get excited. We hide things from each other, and then we reveal things to each other. It's unpredictable.
I figured since it's the day before, you might as well get a surprise. I don't know everything you have either, so it's always nice to keep a little bit back, but also generally when we get something, we're excited about it and share it with the other person. There's that side too. So why don't you give us your first item?
Well, I'm going to go in chronological order of the things I got since we last talked.
It's chronological.
Chronological order. Now, are we going to do this in chronological order?
I'm going in chronological order, or whatever that word is.
Chronological.
That's a little throwback for you regular listeners.
That's right. Couple of things. I've already talked about it a little bit. I got the Bert and Ernie NECA figures, which are really amazing. Similarly, I got the Bert and Ernie NECA Toonie TV figures, which
those
are amazing as well.
Last time.
I'm going to just briefly mention those because I'm still riding that wave of excitement with those. If you watch my YouTube channel, I did a review recently of the little 2.5-inch figures from Jack's Pacific of Abe Simpson, Grandpa Simpson, and Milhouse, and they are amazing. I have a huge toy crush on these little Jack's Pacific Simpsons figures right now. They're kind of everything that people in our age bracket might want from something new. And then I follow a lot of Disney parks stuff on Instagram, and I got this message from them that during this Star Wars season coming up, they're not SARS Wars, Star Wars.
Yeah, let's hope not.
They're putting out these popcorn buckets, and the popcorn buckets are always like really cool. Well, it depends on what you like. They posted that they're putting out a Tauntaun popcorn bucket. That got me really excited. It reminded me that something I look at every once in a while on eBay is the vintage Tauntaun. I still had never bitten the bullet on getting one for myself. I'm very particular in the kind of Tauntaun I want to get. I want to make sure I get the kind with the stomach that you can slide Luke Skywalker into the stomach, and finding those at a reasonable price is a little bit difficult on eBay. And I picked one up. I got a really good discount because he's missing his, I don't know if I've shown you this yet, Mark, but
you sent me the picture on Instagram.
That's right. Yeah. He's missing his reins, and that's okay. He's got his saddle and everything else, and he's got the little openable stomach, and that made me really happy. And then quickly following that, I was contemplating what should I get Mark for his birthday. So folks, if you're listening to this, Mark's birthday has just passed because it's at the end of March and you're listening to this at the beginning of April. I was trying to get him a little something. I'm gonna let him know what this is because it's like an addition to what I'm planning on getting him. My pal over there at Mortarheads, Mark Enright, made these amazing stickers.
Oh.
And it's the Hamburglar.
I don't even think I've seen those.
Just like the Batman emblem from the 1966 television series. And instead of Batman in his cape, it says burglar. And so, Mark, you got a Hamburglar Mark Enright Mortarheads sticker coming your way for your birthday.
Nice.
I ordered 2 of these and he sent me 6. So I think I'm going to give you 2. Something that you're about to talk about. I know both Mark and I got the itch for Roosevelt Franklin when, at least for me, when Super 7 announced that they were going to do a reaction figure.
Roosevelt Franklin! Roosevelt Franklin!
That is why I got this.
Exactly. Roosevelt Franklin. And this is a character that I haven't thought about in a long time because he's basically absent from Sesame Street now for probably a variety of reasons, but he was always a favorite of mine as a kid. And he's just been sort of on the edge of my consciousness for a while. And then Super 7 announced that they're doing a Roosevelt Franklin reaction figure. And that's very, very, very exciting. Actually, of that wave, that's the only one that I really want to get.
That's the only one I'm getting. And I'm going to get him on the car. I'm not going to wait for a blind box thing to cheap out because I don't want to take a chance on getting somebody I don't like.
This guy's worth it. And the reaction figure looks amazing. But I did find him at a reasonable price on eBay. So I got my little Fisher Price Little People, Roosevelt Franklin now.
Yep.
Surprisingly, these guys are really hard to find in good shape.
Oh, yeah.
You can find others in fairly good shape, almost, I'm going to say in abundance, but I'm over-exaggerating. But Roosevelt Franklin, it's hard to get him with his face paint intact.
Yeah.
Anyways, got him. And he came with a little sticker, no bad vibes from the person I ordered it from.
Oh, that's nice.
Perfect for this era we're living in right now.
Yeah. Roosevelt Franklin, although I always malappropriate his name as Franklin Roosevelt because of our stupid president.
Yep. Or just Franklin, because...
Yeah. He's always been on my mind because that was of those hand puppets that we briefly talked about on when you talked about Sesame Street way back when.
Yeah.
That hand puppet of him was the one that I actually really wanted as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I think about when I think of Sesame Street, are those hand puppets, the finger puppets, the Fisher Price Little People. And so that hand puppet, if we're talking Sesame Street or I see Sesame Street stuff, I always go to that and think, why isn't there more of him out there? And so, yeah, I did exactly the same thing. And the one that you ended up buying, I was watching, and this one, they were very similar. The eyes are both a little scratched up.
Mm-hmm.
I got offers from both of those sellers, but this one was a couple dollars cheaper, and I felt like, and maybe a little bit more messed up in the face, but I felt like he went perfectly with the ones that you gave me as far as the paint rubs on his face. And I thought it worked for me because they looked like they belonged together. Plus it was cheaper, and I was like, I'm always up for getting something cheaper.
You and I have this, we share the same feeling about this, and I don't mind having toys that look like they've been played with. I actually kind of prefer it to a certain extent.
If you hadn't given me those, I probably would have been like a little bit more nitpicky because it was more, these look like a set, and to have a really mint Roosevelt Franklin wouldn't kind of work with the set. So that was sense, how my mind worked on that and accepted, like, this is actually the cheaper of the two offers that I got. And when I got him, everything else was perfectly clean. His body's clean. The hair is in perfect shape. So I was like, that actually ended up being a really good deal.
Roosevelt Franklin, what you say?
No, the very first letter is the letter A.
What more can you tell me?
No, the very next letter is a letter B.
And then the only other thing that I got, I saw as I scroll through my Explore section on Instagram, all this kind of stuff that we're into pops up. So McDonald's stuff pops up, Sesame Street stuff pops up. This is something that I've looked at before while looking at vintage Happy Meal toys, vintage, since they're from when we were kids.
We are vintage, Mark, at this stage.
Oh, yeah. And I'm like, I remember seeing those when I would do those searches. So I ended up getting a little Officer Big Mac.
Oh, dang, that's so great.
Helicopter in a color that I really like for these plastic toys, this kind of Dodger blue.
Yes.
And so I believe it was from 1982, and there are other vehicles like this. So you can see the little sprue marks on the top of his head where it was joined together, as a flattened thing in a package and then put together. And it's in great shape. There is nothing wrong with the rotor blade on top. It's not like cracked or getting ready to fall off.
That's incredible.
Again, put it on my watch list. This is my go-to now. Put something on a watch list, wait for that offer to come in. And I believe this was a pretty good offer. Might have been 30% or 25% off.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Put it under $10, I believe, and snatched it up.
That's a good deal.
It showed up yesterday. I opened the box, got it out, and then I looked at the box, and I was like, oh, that is smashed to hell on the back. And luckily he was in enough bubble wrap to where nothing happened, because that would have been not cool.
When that plastic bends, you get that white crease, and it's never the same.
Yep. Yeah, there's no stress marks. His rudder is a little bit crooked, and that's just from, I could easily blow dry that and straighten it out, but I don't even care. It doesn't take away from the figure or whatever you want to call that. It's not really a figure, but
anthropomorphic vehicle.
Yeah, an Officer Big Mac helicopter because he's rolling over your neighborhood looking for bad guys.
This
apparently.
Is crazy. I never thought about this. He's already an anthropomorphic burger, and now he's also an anthropomorphic burger / helicopter. That's kind of brilliant. So real quick, in 1982, my dad and my stepmom and my step siblings were on a road trip. I believe it was summer. That was the summer of those particular vehicles in the Happy Meals. And I was that kid pasted to the window looking for the golden arches while we were driving around. I believe it was like Colorado and Arizona. And the one that I got from that trip was the airplane. Was that Hamburglar or Ronald McDonald? I can't remember which character it was.
When I looked it up on eBay, a couple of the other pieces came up, and I don't recall. I was going to look before we recorded, and then I totally forgot because I was doing work stuff.
This is something we can catch up on next month because now you've memory unlocked, and I'm going to be diving deep into that now.
And I think like the changeables, they're usually not too much.
Yeah, that's good. I think it was Hamburglar who was the airplane, but I'm probably remembering that incorrectly, so I don't want to stick to that. But yeah, very fond memories of just holding that thing in the back seat of we were driving around in a VW bus. It was hot.
Yeah.
The bus probably smelled like McDonald's hamburgers after stopping there and just holding that airplane the whole time. Nothing wrong with that, exactly.
These things were out of my view because I was a Big Mac kid, and Happy Meals came too late for me.
Yeah.
I was already eating big kid stuff or grown-up stuff at McDonald's. So I never had Happy Meals as a kid and never really paid attention to the toys or anything until years and years and years later. I had no concept that these were a thing.
Even after I was supposed to be a Big Mac kid, I was still trying to get the Happy Meals through the entirety of the 80s and deep into the early 90s. I was still hanging on to that. And still today, I just sent you an image of stuff that's coming. Like still today, whenever I go to McDonald's, I'm usually getting a Happy Meal. Just because.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's Minecraft style Grimace, Hamburglar,
Birdie, I think.
Birdie, and a Big Mac. Like I'm really crushing on the rectangular Big Mac. Just a box painted as a Big Mac. Like that's super cool to me.
Yeah, and they're not the adult collector Happy Meal, so you should have a chance at getting some. And I would make sure, because I think there are also Minecraft figures from the film.
Yeah.
Make sure if you go, say, I want the McDonald figures.
Hopefully they'll be kind in that regard. It's April Fool's Day. I think that they're launching, so.
Yeah.
Big Mac coming for a landing.
When you buy a McDonald's Airport Happy Meal, you get one of 5 different planes to put together and play with.
Watch, Mom. What's that? Ronald McDonald taking off. Prime.
Airport Happy Meal boxes at participating McDonald's.
Hey, this is Jason Kleberg from the Force 5 podcast, a show that forces a guest to come up with a movie-themed top 5 list topic, and then we reveal our picks on air. Top 5 heist films, top 5 tearjerkers, top 5 movie dogs. Every show you'll be asking yourself, what would be on my list? Guests include directors, screenwriters, actors, podcasters, musicians, authors, and even a professional wrestler. Subscribe to the Force 5 podcast, and you won't just be a listener, you'll be a list nerd. The Force 5 podcast, available wherever you're listening now.
All right, well, let's get into your main. I have no idea what your main feature is for this episode. Talk about being secretive. You know what I'm talking about. I don't know what you're talking about, but let's hear it.
Here's the reality. I was really struggling with what I would be talking about today for some reason. I had a couple of things that I was juggling, and I just hadn't made a decision. Since yesterday was Mr. Rogers' birthday, I thought, oh my God, I've not talked about Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, which was something that I was completely obsessed with as a kiddo. There's a variety of reasons why, but I know that by talking about Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, I'm fairly certain that everybody who listens to this show will know what I'm talking about. So there's no need to educate people, but I am going to talk a little bit about the elements of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood that I was deeply fascinated with as a kid and still am fascinated by today. It all boils down to the set design and the artificiality of those very simple sets. The idea that behind a wall was this world of imagination that Mr. Rogers could show you how to access. As a kid, I had a friend so I grew up partially in the foothills, and I'd say higher foothills, right where oak trees meet pine trees, if you know what I'm talking about. This one friend of mine, Matt, and he and his parents lived in a little tiny barn-shaped house up on this hill. Not that this matters, but I believe they had power generated by a generator. I went to school with Matt, but they were living off the road and didn't have any neighbors. And it's really a cool place. His brother and he shared the upstairs, and they had a train that would go from one room to the other, this model train thing. They'd set the track up so it would lead from one room to the other. And when I visited him, that was the coolest thing in the world. I know why, too. And that is because this idea of being transported from one place to another through a secret passageway was just incredible to me, partly because of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. That little trolley that he shows you that he's piloting, he has the little switch. There's no hiding the little switch. He can get the trolley to go into his living room and then back out into the make-believe land. The neighborhood of make-believe was just so cool. I know that it's partially Mr. Rogers, and I think mainly Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Ready for the neighborhood of make-believe? Ready, Trolley? All right.
Hi, Trolley.
I have this ongoing obsession with diorama making. If you listen to this show, you know that. If you watch my YouTube channel, you know that. The opening sequence where it shows the miniature houses in the neighborhood and the little trees and all that stuff is really fucking cool, in my opinion. And I knew that it was cool as a kid. I just thought, my God, that's amazing that somebody built that. Even as a kid, I knew that there was something substantial about building a tiny set and filming that instead of going out into the world and filming a neighborhood out there. Just like it was amazing to see the sets for Sesame Street, which was supposed to be brownstones in New York City. You're taken immediately into a completely artificial, ultra clean living room where Mr. Rogers is coming home from work, getting changed out of his clothes, out of his work clothes into a cardigan and his cute little Keds. You walk into the living room, you see this perfectly organized living space. For me as a kid, that's something that I really coveted, was good organization. It's still something that it's no secret in my household that if something is out of place, I'm going to straighten it out.
Oh boy. And I know that feeling.
I'm that person.
Mm-hmm. I am that guy too.
I've figured out a way to be balanced with this, so I'm not an asshole, but it is certainly something that is part of, it gives me visceral joy, organization. And as you can see behind me, like there's a lot of stuff back here, but everything is in its particular place. One thing that I noticed as a kid, and I didn't really start thinking about this until yesterday, but it was sort of revelatory to me. Mr. Rogers' birthday pops up into my Instagram feed. I'm like, oh, that's great. I'll talk about that. Then this is one of those memories unlocked situations. Then I'm looking online at pictures of the sets because I do that every once in a while. That's part of what I do. I hadn't looked at the kitchen set in a while. Every once in a while, he'll walk over to the kitchen. He'll go over there to feed the fish. The fish tank is like right in between the living room and the kitchen. There's that painting that switches images, and then there's the fish tank. And then in the kitchen, he's got a little shelf where I've forgotten about this, where there are miniatures of the buildings in Make-Believe Land. And so you've got the miniature museum go around, and you've got the miniature tree where X lives, the owl, and Henrietta's house, and Daniel's clock. And they're all miniature on a display shelf in the kitchen.
Interesting.
That reminded me of loving that as a kid. I hadn't thought about that in ages. And then I thought about my channel, my YouTube channel. And I'm like, I'm trying to do Mr. Rogers. I'm trying to live this life now, which is super crazy to me. But now I'm at the stage where I can totally accept this. Hopefully, if the channel sticks around for a while, we'll be able to watch it evolve to a place where I can take people into a space where there's dioramas. And anyways.
And you put on a cardigan.
I'll be wearing cardigans starting. That's going to be my 2026 plan. Start wearing a cardigan.
You just need to start one episode just unannounced, coming in from outside, change your clothes, get some little blue kids.
I swear.
And then just start your show and don't mention it, just ease people into it.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it my way and see if people catch on. So I realized like yesterday when I was doing my deep dive that this guy has basically, Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street and The Muppet Show had basically created my brain. And, you know, Star Wars and Masters of the Universe reinforced that. Before I got deep into Star Wars and Masters of the Universe, I was already watching these shows and just loving the exaltation of artificial objects built by people to look like something else. And that just gives me such amazing feelings. Every aspect of Mr. Rogers' home has transferred into my adult life. Our home right now is organized in a particular way where you turn a corner and it's a scene. Thank goodness my wife is a minimalist and I'm a maximalist. So we've got this interesting balance of scene making happening between us. And it's kind of cool. Then we go through the little tunnel, enter into make-believe land, and it's like everything that I've ever wanted to do. Build trees that can house things, build mountains. The little tiny mountain where the family of platypuses, platypi, I don't know, where they live, Anna and the family of platypi.
It's probably platypuses.
Probably platypuses.
The plural of platypus can be either platypus or platypuses.
That little mountain or the mountain face with the little caves where they live, oh my God, just amazing to me. I keep waiting. You know, we just got an announcement that Super 7 got the license for Maurice Sendak and Where the Wild Things Are reaction figures. I keep waiting for someone to get the license, whether it be Diamond Select or NECA or Super 7 to get the license for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I'll talk about the characters in a little bit. I'm going to save that to the second half of this. If any of these toy companies ever get the license for this stuff, I hope that they treat it like McDonaldland should be treated. Create the little components that we can build at home. I've seen a couple of other toy channels talk about this. Some folks out there like me, and I think you would get on board with this too, are hoping that the McDonaldland characters at some point will be available to be made by toy companies. The ideal scenario is for the Playland structures similar to what we're seeing, and Dustin Cropsboy Sugar Coated is making these little replicas, something like that. I think that creating the make-believe land, the little castle, the little tree, the little mound of dirt where the platypuses live, and Henrietta's house, and Corny's little factory. That little factory is so cool, and especially the museum go-round. Lady Elaine Fairchild, that grumpy lady, that little museum go-round. God, I always wanted to know what it looked like to be on the other side of those sets, to be inside that castle or to be inside that little museum go-round, just to see what that looks like.
I think there are documentaries that you can watch that show some of that.
There are.
And I'm not being facetious this time.
I know, but certainly documentaries and mini docs on YouTube and stuff, but I don't think anyone's ever gone behind the set and shown.
I've seen behind the scenes photos though, so I'm kind of thinking that. Let me interrupt you real quickly just about the McDonald Land thing, because I know you know this. The only characters that will be available will be Ronald, Grimace, Birdie, and Hamburglar. You're never going to see Officer Big Mac. You're never going to see Mayor McCheese come out. That's why they didn't have those cactus plant flower tree, whatever the heck the name. Those guys are done for because of that whole H.R. Puffin stuff, Sid and Marty Krofft thing.
You're saying this, but we've seen them come out in Funko Pop form.
That is true. That is true.
What's the catch? What's the catch? Where's the loophole? And can other companies get in on that?
That is a good point, actually. You know, I was going to say, in other countries, though, they continue to make stuff with those characters. So maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But they don't ever seem to promote those. They're never in commercials. They're never in any of their promotional material.
It's almost as if McDonald's, the company, cannot use them. That's probably the rule. For some reason or another, Funko got the license to do it.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it's they are not allowed due to that lawsuit. And I think they settled out of court, so that may have been part of the settlement. Anyway.
And I have more to say about this, but I'm going to pause here and hand it over to you because this could go on forever.
I'm just going to say this. This may disappoint you. You're referencing all these things from the show. I was not a Mr. Rogers fan.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me because even as a kid, I knew there were some kids that just were like, no, that's not my thing.
We really didn't watch it. It came on every once in a while, and I think I saw it mainly at other people's houses. And I'm kind of surprised that my parents didn't push it on us more because he was a minister.
Yeah.
Though he was maybe also a little too liberal for their taste.
Okay,
to be honest with you.
I can see that.
It didn't get pushed on us, and I never really caught on to it. And I'm going to be honest here, I thought he was kind of a mamby-pamby, even as a little kid.
I can see that.
His personality didn't jive with me.
Yeah.
I have the greatest respect for that man these days, and I think he did wonderful things. I mean, there are some problematic things because of his faith.
Yeah.
He confronted a lot of that and spoke to a lot of it, too, during his lifetime, but I think he did an enormous amount of good in his lifetime. It just never gelled with me. So you're saying all that, you're pointing out these things. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Some of it's familiar, like the Lady Elizabeth or whoever. I remember her face, and I remember the little trolley and the opening and, what he did and stuff. But I never really sat and watched his show.
Every time I'd sit down and watch an episode, first of all, I just loved it. There was something about that. I never encountered people like Mr. Rogers in my real life. I mean, my dad's a very sweet man, but no one in my life was like Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
I didn't encounter anyone like that. It was interesting to me that somebody could be so willing to be sensitive in the public eye. That was very, very cool to me as a kid. I don't know why. So that stuck with me. And so Jim Henson, Mr. Rogers, people like that became, over the years, positive influences in my life. And I kind of always battled that a little bit, but also as I've gotten older, been more willing and interested in being that or representing that as much as possible. That kind of willingness to be excited about things. And I mean, I've always kind of been that way, but I've always kind of fought that in myself.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I did kind of know people like that, and it was mainly through church and stuff. And it was always a little bit off-putting to me because it didn't seem genuine.
That's the thing.
I may have placed that on him where, no one's really that nice unless there's something weird going on. Or
Exactly.
So, I don't know.
As part of the fascination I think I have with him is that in a world where most of the time people are after something in a sketchy way and they're behaving that way in a sketchy way, I keep waiting for something to come out about him. There's a couple of weird things, but There's no P. Diddy situation with Mr. Rogers. Jim Henson, he was kind of a ladies' man, if you know what I mean. And there's that side of Jim Henson, but there's nothing like that for Mr. Rogers that we know of. And that's fascinating to me. And I wouldn't say that it's because of religion, because we've seen religious people make horrible mistakes. And I just think maybe it was just the way he was. And that makes it very special and interesting to me. But aside from the namby-pamby, the world building of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in the land of make-believe just blew my mind as a kid. Blew my mind.
But I want all the gold.
Gold?
Gold. 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 Well, all I can say is anybody can draw a big drawing, but not everybody can make one that moves.
That moves?
Toot toot. See you sometime else.
Hello, this is Mark Begley, the host of Wake Up Heavy, and I'd like to invite you to listen to my show over on weirdingwaymedia.com. Wake Up Heavy is a show about my horror movie obsessions from childhood, as well as new-to-me discoveries from the past and present. My guests have included fellow Weirding Way Media hosts Mike White from the Projection Booth podcast, Chris Dashew from the Culture Cast, Heather Drain from Noise Junkies, as well as Sam Deegan, Sam Panico, and Simon Fitzjohn. Every once in a while, my daughter Cleo even joins me.
Hey, that's me.
Find Wake Up Heavy and my other show, Cambridge and with Sean, on weirdingwaymedia.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget,
anything can happen when you wake up heavy.
The audio commentary. It's a dying art form, but here at One Track Mind, I, your wonky yet affable host Ryan Luis Rodriguez, analyze film through the prism of these embryonic forms of podcasting, one audio commentary at a time. Masterpieces, crapster pieces, live action, animation, cult classics, films literally no one has ever heard of. No track is too small, and no track is too big. Join me and my guests from the entertainment world as we keep these features alive every other Tuesday. Hey, who else is going to discuss Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey one week and Citizen Kane the next? Us, that's who. Sure, you have to put up with my voice, but there's a certain give and take in this industry. That's One Track Mind, part of the Someone's Favorite Productions family and available wherever you get your podcasts.
Mego presents the Planet of the Apes action figures. Dr. Zaius, the orangutan scientist. Cornelius, the archaeologist. Zira, the woman scientist. The soldier ape. And the astronaut. All Planet of the Apes action figures sold separately by Mego.
What's on your list, Mark?
Well, I am getting back to what I promised a couple of episodes ago, which we bypassed last time, and something that I have mentioned numerous times over these last 2 years in passing, saying that I'd get to it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be talking about Mego, finally.
Woohoo!
Particular series from them. They had multiple series that were quite popular and did very well for them, and this is one of them. Since this is my first time talking about them, I'm going to do a little brief history of the company, just minor stuff, and a little bit about this franchise that they made figures for and my personal experience with it. So Mego, like a lot of companies, started as a distributor. So in 1954, they started and they were distributing toys from Japan and China and other countries as cheap rack toys here in the States. So that's how they got their start. And then in the 60s, they started making their own toys that were basically knockoffs of more popular toys such as Barbie and G.I. Joe, and they made a G.I. Joe-esque figure called Fighting Yank.
Yeah.
Very quickly got sued by Hasbro because they were actually using the G.I. Joe body or copying it. And I think this is one of those things that most toy people have heard about in some way or another. The original G.I. Joe figures had a mark that would show that they were being reproduced illegally, and that was that the thumb on one of the hands, the thumbnail was on the opposite side. It was on the wrong side, so it was on the bottom. And the Fighting Yank had that. So they knew that they were using their figure, and so that disappeared very quickly. Mego took that and said, okay, well, we'll make something that's completely our own. They shrunk the figure down to 8 inches, this 1/9 scale, which is mainly an oddity today, but was very popular especially during the 70s. And they created the figure called Action Jackson. He was sort of like the prototype Big Jim figure, which I've talked about on the show, where he's just this everyday adventure guy that you could buy outfits for and have him be whatever. Be a spy, be a military guy, be a sports hero.
Hey, real quick, is the Carl Weathers movie Action Jackson?
No, nothing to do with it. That was, I think, their first big seller, and they had their Barbie knockoff. I believe they did sort of the same thing where they shrunk her down and had a lot of playability and accessories for that girl, quote unquote, toy. So that was them producing their own things, and those were very popular and did well. And then, of course, the world's greatest superheroes line comes out in 1972. Massive success for them.
It's the world's greatest superhero collection, featuring Batman and the other half of the dynamic duo, Robin, the Hulk, that green superhero, he's fully posable, Falcon, the winged black superhero, Shazam and Iron Man, the world's greatest superheroes collection. Each superhero action figure sold separately from Mego.
Went for roughly 10 years in some way or another, and then, of course, they collapsed and went bankrupt. But one of their other big successes happened in 1974. And this goes back to one of the topics that you discussed early on in the show, and that is with Planet of the Apes.
Oh, yeah.
20th Century Fox wants you to go ape. Now, the triumphant return of a revolution in the art of science fiction filmmaking. The classic Saga of the Apes. 20th Century Fox wants you to go ape.
In 74, that franchise, that series of films had come to an end. Actually, the year prior was, what was the last film? Did I write it down? I think it was Battle for the Planet of the Apes. I can't remember. I should have written it down. But that series ended in 73. Shortly thereafter, they start showing the first 2 films on TV. Then in 1974, the TV show comes out, which I believe only lasted a season, if I'm not mistaken. Around that same time, they started showing all of the films in theaters as a marathon. So you could go watch all 5 Planet of the Apes. God, can you imagine that? Like close to 8 or 9 hours, probably 8 hours.
I think that's going to be a future episode for us.
What's that?
Watching all the movies and talking about them in real time.
Well, didn't you do that
9
already?
hours?
Oh, yeah. Sure. So the apocryphal story, and I have to say this, I think anytime I'm relaying a story that's coming from Marty Abrams, the current and then CEO of the company, just because, I don't know, I'm a little, that guy's a little sketchy to me.
Yeah.
Although there's nothing sketchy about this story in particular, but the story is that he took his son to one of these marathons and noticed that the audience was filled with fathers and sons.
Mm-hmm.
They went to 20th Century Fox to get the license. A company called AHI was already bidding on it. Mego outbid them and got the license to make these 8-inch figures,
Yeah.
much like the superhero figures that they were already making. Now, AHI was not deterred by this. They did get the license for a number of toys. These are the toys like the parachute.
Oh, yeah.
Planet of the Apes figures, or Planet of the Apes figures on little vehicles.
Yeah.
The cheap rack toys. Yep. AHI was known for cheap rack toys. So they did get licensing for it, and they also knocked off the 8-inch Planet of the Apes figures. They had these, I think they were called Action Apeman. They are very similar to the Planet of the Apes figures from Mego. You know, tit for tat, I guess. AHI did this for a lot. They had Universal Monster figures and all kinds of other Mego-esque 8-inch cloth figures. So the first wave of the Mego figures comes out in 1974, and it included Cornelius, Zira, Dr. Zaius, a soldier ape, and a generic astronaut, because they never did get the license to create a Charlton Heston figure.
Right.
So it's just a dude in a blue,
astronaut suit.
Well, it's an astronaut suit, but it's just, like a zip
space
up
suit.
Thing. It does not look. Yeah, it doesn't look like I can't. The things that Devo wears like that.
Yeah,
but it's blue and a little helmet. That was, along with the World's Greatest Superheroes, a massive, massive success for Mego. They quickly added play sets, which were basically retoolings of a lot of Action Jackson play sets.
Mm-hmm.
We know companies did this stuff. Mattel did it with Big Jim, borrowed from Barbie and all that, and they did it with Masters of the Universe, borrowing from Big Jim, etc., etc. So Mego took a Treehouse playset that Action Jackson had and turned it into a Planet of the Apes things. They had horses for the figures. They had little jail cells, like the Charlton Heston gets toted around. All kinds of stuff for them. It went for a number of years, I believe. The next wave was centered around the TV show. So you got the figures from that, the human figures from that, and then instead of Cornelius, it was Galen on that show, and there was a different general. There's General Ursus and General Urko, and that gets all very confusing and convoluted. I won't get into all that today, but the things that I encountered as a kid just stuck with me forever.
Yeah.
So I don't remember when I first saw the movies. I know that seeing the toys, I was aware of the characters from the films. I don't know if I saw them that young, if they started playing them in 73, 74. I'm little. I'm 4 or 5. I don't know that I watched them that young, but obviously I saw images of them.
Yes.
Was always struck, and we talked about this on that episode, always struck by the, I don't want to say masks, because they're not masks, but the faces of the ape characters just fascinated me from the films.
Absolutely. There's a characterization of apes happening in that makeup that strikes a particular chord. Like we talked about before, the image of the ape in the comic book advertisements, for me, this is before I saw the movies, before I saw the toys, something about it just clicked, and it's just amazing. It doesn't look like an ape costume by Don Post. It doesn't look like an ape from real life. It's unlike anything that I had ever seen. And you were probably stricken by that too. It's the human eyes behind that latex, and just so cool. Something about it.
It's perfectly accurate, yet completely inaccurate, and the combination is fascinating.
Yeah.
And really put the whammy on me as a kid. Part of this involves a particular location, because my only real distinct memory of seeing these figures was in a particular store. I don't know if it happened just this one time and it struck me so hard that it lived there forever, or if it was multiple times. I don't know. I don't know the particulars of this fascination, but there was a shopping center on the corner, the northeast corner of Chestnut and Olive, which we lived pretty close to when I was a kid. And it had a number of different kinds of stores. There was a little diner-esque restaurant in there called the Red Freezer Restaurant. And I don't recall ever eating there with my family, but I remember walking by it all the time. And I want to say it had like a red and white themed interior that always struck me. There was a bakery in there called the Swiss Chalet Bakery, a ladies' clothing store, a Country Boy Market. You remember Country Boy?
Oh, yeah.
Which I believe we shopped at occasionally. It wasn't one of the regulars that my mom went to. We did go in there every so often. I remember looking at comic books in there. Where we would usually go, or what we would go to when we went there, was a Long's Drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And much like today in CVS and Walgreens and those chain pharmacy catch-all stores, they always had a little toy section.
Absolutely.
Generally smaller item and cheap rack toys. Like cheap rack toys were the thing in drugstores. But they also had Mego figures. And I remember seeing Dr. Zaius and Cornelius figures in the Long's Drugs in the C&O shopping center and being just absolutely fascinated, enamored, and obsessed with the face sculpts of the toys. I don't know. This is one of those, the ones that got away stories.
Yeah.
I never had these as a kid, and I don't know why. And this will come up repeatedly for Mego, but for the other ones that I'll talk about at some point, I know why, because they were never available in this area. I saw these. I probably held those carded figures in my hand and thought, I absolutely need this thing.
Yeah.
And I have no idea why I never had at least one of them. They were a little more expensive than even the superhero figures. I think they were like $1 more because of the licensing. So a Mego 8-inch Spider-Man might be $199, and these were like $299. So I don't know if it was the price. I don't know if it was the fact that they were ape men. And I've kind of hinted at this in the past on episodes. Evolution, was sort of a bugaboo in my household. So I don't know if it was that. I don't know what it was. I feel like I would have asked for these. I was sort of a sheepish kid too. So maybe I didn't for any of those reasons, or maybe my mom said no for any of those reasons, or maybe I put these on my birthday list. Maybe I put them on my Christmas list and they were never spotted again, or my parents didn't have any idea what the hell I was talking about. I feel like I was so struck by them that I would have sort of made it my goal to get them, like with Stretch Armstrong. They knew I wanted a Stretch Armstrong really badly, so I wasn't shy about that. But for some reason, I never had one, even though I could have gone home with one that day. Maybe it was a money thing and just don't have enough right now, and then they were gone the next time we went. I don't know if I ever saw them again at that Long's Drugs. I don't recall seeing them at Toys R Us in the mall or at Arthur's Toys. Have no recollection of that. It's possible I did and maybe still had those pangs of wanting, but nope, never had any of the Planet of the Apes figures. I would see them in the ads in the comic books all the time.
That's the only place where I ever saw them, were in ads.
And had the same impulse, like, I need these figures. Those face sculpts are so amazing. That monkey face on a human body just drives me crazy.
It's never the coolest.
That was one of the areas that we would shop at all the time. I always mentioned Sunnyside and that big corner of Clovis and Tulare or Kings Canyon.
Yeah.
Chestnut and Olive had a lot of stuff in it. That little shopping center, and then directly west of that, across Chestnut, there was a Winchell's Donut, there was a Me and Ed's, and there was the health food store that we went to all the time, where I would get Carob and their healthy Fig Newtons and all that kind of stuff. It was sort of a hub. There was a very famous restaurant there called the Outpost that people in our area just absolutely loved. I don't ever recall eating there, but so tons of stuff on that little corner. And that shopping center still exists. The freeway kind of cuts right by it now, the 180.
Yep.
But it's still there. I think it's got a Dollar Tree or something in the Long's Drugs spot. And the Winchell's is probably another donut place or maybe torn down. And I believe the Me and Ed's is still there.
I drive through that area quite often, and it's amazing how much of it has not changed since the early 80s when my family would drive through there more frequently.
Once my parents moved away over to the Bullard area and stuff, I never really, and it was getting so run down.
Yeah.
And this was way before the 180 was even put in, but
yep.
Going to the fair, I think we would drive down Chestnut to get to the fair, and I would pass by that spot and go, oh yeah. And I think there was a school I subbed at that was near there. Anyway, I never really make it down there anymore. I'm kind of fascinated by my memory of it being solely seeing them in Long's Drugs and, of course, in comic book ads. But I mean, personally holding in my hand or looking at just that one time. But it was so strong that it just stuck with me literally forever. One of those things that when eBay rolled around, you bet that was one of the first things I looked for when I joined.
Absolutely. And it's still something, Planet of the Apes, just Planet of the Apes toys in general, or merchandise too. Every 2-3 months, I type it into eBay just to see what's out there. In fact, I just typed it into Amazon about a month ago, just to see if any of the reaction figures were on Amazon. And sure enough, I found one of the Gorilla Soldier reaction figures on there for about $20.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it on my wish list, something to think about.
It's what they're priced at now, so it's kind of like, might as well.
Might as well. I've got to get one or two of those. I'd be happy with just a Gorilla Soldier for that.
Yeah, I saw them too, actually, because I did the same thing. I think I was looking at the Mego stuff in particular, but they did pop up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, well, that's my first half, so we'll get back to your first half after this brief message.
It's the Planet of the Apes Treehouse gift set with action figures. You assemble it yourself. Pretend that your apes capture the astronaut. Place them in the ape's net or on the ape's operating table or in the ape's prison. Can you make the astronaut escape? Planet of the Apes Treehouse gift set includes everything you see here. Treehouse and action figures also available separately from Mego.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Corny? Cornflake especially?
Why, Lady Eberlin, you're looking mighty fit.
Oh, I hope so, Corny. Handyman Negri and I have to build a school in 3 days.
You want to build it here?
Well, we don't know where the best place would be.
Well, there's lots to learn in the factory. I could teach the people how to make rocking chairs, so that would always come in handy.
That's true.
All right, so what's next in your Mr. Rogers neighborhood extravaganza?
That's right. We're still in that territory. Now is a chance to talk about how interesting these puppets were to me as a kid. There was, no facial articulation at all on these puppets, except for the owl. The owl's beak, if I remember correctly, could open and close for talking. Oh, and no, sorry, I'm totally messing up here because as I'm talking, I'm remembering the platypuses, their beaks opened and closed, the owl's beak opened and closed. And there was a cow character. What was her name? I can't remember her name. Her mouth opened and closed too. She kind of looked more like a hippopotamus.
I remember that cow, actually.
Yes. The main character, really, the two main puppet characters were King Friday and Daniel Tiger. They were both voiced by Mr. Rogers doing silly voices. When I finally discovered that, I couldn't get it out of my mind, the image of him trying to do those voices. X the Owl, King Friday, Daniel Tiger, and Lady Elaine Fairchild were my favorites from those puppets.
And wasn't the king just a hand puppet?
The king, Daniel Tiger, and Lady Elaine Fairchild were just hand puppets. Yeah, the thumb and pinky in the arms.
Like those things you would get at McDonald's.
Exactly. And then like a paper mache head is what I think that they were made out of.
That's what they look like.
Daniel Tiger had fur all over the head, but Lady Elaine Fairchild and King Friday, who's a little props to Mr. Rogers, to Fred Rogers for this, a little sly move on his part. King Friday's full name is King Friday the 13th, which I think is pretty cool. But Lady Elaine Fairchild really stands out in my memory as being such an interesting and relatable character. She was always a little grumpy. She had attitude. She was very particular in what she thought was right or wrong. And she also had kind of a W.C. Fields nose going on. So was she a drinker? Like, what was her deal? Short, messy hair. I mean, what an interesting female character for the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. I mean, it started in 68. I thought this woman is strong. She's strange. She's eccentric. She's unique. She doesn't look like other women. She was one of my favorites. She was kind of like the Oscar the Grouch of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
You got to have a grouch.
You got to have a grouch. Life without a grouch is a life I'm not interested in. I need a grouch.
You got one.
I got a couple of them. I think that's why we got along so well, Mark, right from the beginning, is that I saw distinct aspects in your personality that I definitely
Lady Elaine
needed in my life. The best possible version of that. Anyways, the Platypus family, these puppets looked handmade. I made puppets that were inspired by them as a young guy. I liked that they were basic, like you said. They're just hand puppets with the thumb and pinky in the arms. And if there was articulation, it was just mouth movement. So simple in design and so perfect. And a little bit creepy.
Mm-hmm. She was definitely creepy.
Lady Elaine Fairchild was creepy. The Platypus family were creepy.
I don't remember them at all.
They looked like... The best way to describe them is slightly mangy.
Oh, great.
Duck-billed creatures. Not the prettiest. Although there was a little baby platypus that was super cute. Daniel Tiger looked like he was somebody's pet stuffy tiger that had been played with for 20 years prior to being used as a puppet. Just so cool.
And now he's got his own show.
He's got his own, like, computer animated, right? Or something like that now?
I don't know if it's computer animated, but it's animated.
Yeah, very, very simple. It's cool that that is still going on. That makes me happy. And we've already talked about it a little bit, but this guy, Mr. Rogers, he actually started off as a producer and puppeteer and organist for this show called The Children's Corner that started in 1954. And he didn't really start to be on camera until what he did was he was studying seminary, like during his lunch breaks. He and his wife moved to Canada for a bit. He participated in some performances up there where he became more of a presence. And then he brought it back to Pittsburgh, the same TV station that was doing the Children's Corner. And in 1966 started filming episodes for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. This is a guy that does not seem like he has any interest in being on camera or being famous. He does not act like an actor. The person he is in front of the camera is the person he is behind the camera. There's a really interesting movie where Tom Hanks plays him.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it not too long ago. And it's essentially about this troubled guy. He's a journalist who's struggling with alcohol abuse and difficulties in his personal life. He befriends Mr. Rogers, kind of not really wanting to. The way Mr. Rogers is portrayed in that film is this like entity that's the exact same person on TV. And as you mentioned, this is a guy with background being a minister and living in that territory, but also willing to accept people who are homosexual and ex-criminals and accepting of like people who were just accepting of the world for what it is.
I mean, that is what Jesus did. So.
Exactly. It's like that's, how he utilized religion as it should be is something that I'm afraid we'll forget.
Oh, it's been forgotten.
He still exists. So I feel like he's gone, but his show still exists. His way of being still exists. And it gives me, this is me being me, but his existence gives me hope that there are people out there still practicing religion in a way that it should be, rather than this edited or altered version that greedy people utilize.
They're out there, but it's few and far between. I'll tell you that.
And I'm not a religious person. I think the best word for me is agnostic. I'm unsure of this stuff. One thing I do know is that having spent a lot of time looking critically at religion, it's our fault. The human beings who adopt these belief systems, it's our fault for changing the system of belief that had been established in the written texts. We read something, we interpret it our way, then we dislike others because of it. We use that as a tool to be judgmental.
I used a quote a couple episodes ago from Angel Heart that perfectly summarizes this, and I'm going to insert it right here.
They say there's just enough religion in the world to make men hate one another, but not enough to make them love.
Oh, is that what they say?
Let's go on before we get too heavy into that stuff.
So, anyways, this is a fascinating thing. I still, to this day, enjoy watching Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood episodes. I will seek them out on YouTube. I'll watch clips. I get such joy out of it. It's an acquired taste for sure. In a world where everything is polished, and what's that amazing kids show that is of our children's generation? The guy with the big glasses, who's the host, and then there's
Yo Gabba Gabba.
There's so much heart in Yo Gabba Gabba. And yet it's so well done that it's so clean and well made. The budget is certainly evident when you're watching Yo Gabba Gabba. And when you're watching Mr. Rogers, it's like, even though the sets are clean and well made, it's very clear that they're made by hand. It's very clear that they were working on a shoestring budget. And it's very clear that it was made with heart. And I'm a big fan of Yo Gabba Gabba, by the way. It's an awesome show.
I loved watching it with Cleo. Fucking Mark Mothersbaugh was on it all the time. So
I know. It's amazing. That's a great show. But, I get a little worried that shows like Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street and Yo Gabba Gabba, what do they become for future generations? What do they evolve into for future generations? The Daniel Tiger Show, I've tried to watch a couple of clips of that, and there's something missing.
I'll tell you what it becomes. It becomes Teletubbies. That's what it becomes.
Well, this is going to be a heated conversation then, because I feel like Teletubbies was kind of amazing too.
Let's not get started. Keep your focus, son.
Oh, man. Oh, well, future episode then.
Go ahead.
That's all the stuff that I had for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
All right.
Gotta love it, though. Toy makers, get on it.
Yeah, that'd be pretty interesting. I wonder if that's a thing, though, if it's like that's not whoever's got the rights to all of his stuff is just like not interested. Some people aren't interested in doing stuff like that.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, for sure.
Not for any particular reason, just some people don't see the necessity in making money off of what they did.
Hey, respect.
And yeah, you got to respect it because that's coming from the owners of the licensing.
That's right. Absolutely.
Do you have any suggestions as to the best place to have the school?
Well, maybe some other place than right around here. Children often like to go off to school. It makes them much more like they're going off to work, like their parents do.
You're a wise person, Dr. Bill.
Well, I just try my best to understand children. Elsie, Jean, and I are so pleased with the way that Anna is growing.
So yeah, my story takes a pause until I'm an adult. Like I said, the ones that got away always stick in my craw and stick in my brain.
Yeah.
And I would think about Mego Planet of the Apes figures all the time. As a teen, as a 20-something, 30-something, 40-something. So that's when, well, 30-something, when eBay rolls around. What am I going to look for? I looked for a lot of Mego stuff. And just never, I'd look and not really know what I'm looking at. You know, are these things complete and stuff like that? And probably could have gotten stuff for way cheap back then. God, if I'd just been a little less crazed about it, or like, you know, oh, I got to have something perfect or whatever. I don't know what I was thinking, but I know I looked for them. But it wasn't until, gosh, and I always think that I'm living in the apartment on Andrews with Carlita, but none of this happens until we are in this house. So in 2010, after months of being on the site and looking at all the stuff and the forums and the messages and the pictures and everything, I joined the Mego Museum forums and started getting my information there, which was very helpful. I bought figures from people on that site. There's a, you know, sale and trade section on there. Started learning more and really looking for stuff on eBay. And that's when I found out about the reproductions, the retro versions of these made by a company called EMCE or MC. I knew there was, well, there's an obvious connection, but I knew that that name meant something. And so I actually last night went on Mego Museum forums. I haven't posted there in ages, and asked, what does EMCE stand for? I know I used to know it, and I know it's an acronym. Luckily, this morning I had a reply, and it's MC, Mego Corp.
Oh, that's awesome.
Spelled out phonetically, EMCE. That was Doc Mego, a guy named Paul Clark, who I think basically started years ago making reproduction parts for Mego figures. So if you found a Batman that didn't have its cape or its gloves or its belt or any of the accessories that fall off, the sticker always comes off, you could buy them from him. He was making reproductions, you know, using, I think, original pieces and making molds of them and getting them factory made. And I utilized his site a lot, completed some Robins and some Batmans and other things. He actually got into the production side of this stuff, I believe first with Star Trek figures, which I ended up getting as well. He produced some Planet of the Apes figures. I'm not sure how many, but I was really only interested in Cornelius and Dr. Zaius.
Dr. Zaius, Dr. Zaius. Dr. Zaius, Dr. Zaius.
Right around this time of year, and I know this because of my Facebook memories and my pictures, 15 years ago in March of 2010, I bought Dr. Zaius, the EMCE reproduction retro style figure, which is basically the same thing.
Yep.
The face molds, I think what they did, and I could be wrong, so don't take this literally, but I believe they just used figures. They may have 3D scanned them, but I feel like they just made molds of original heads and then had them resculpted and remade, because there's a little loss in detail if you compare them to an original.
Based on the timeline, I would be more likely to believe that they'd made molds from them, because I remember when 3D scanning really started becoming available to people that could afford it. Wasn't really until the last 10 years, really. I'm hoping that that's the case, because I love the idea of somebody making molds of these and then reproducing them that way.
Yeah, it's either that or, and I doubt that this is the case, that they found the original molds, which is a possibility, but I don't think that's the case, because there is, like I say, some detail loss on these. He was, at the time, working with Marty Abrams on these things.
Okay.
His face was always on the back of the cards, and he works for Mego now. He is a big part of Mego. So there's obviously been a connection between he and Marty Abrams for a while. But anyway, so I bought Dr. Zaius, I believe, first, because that was the face that really got me. And then I got Cornelius. I couldn't remember if I had ever gotten an original Cornelius, but it was just those two for a while. And then I got it in my head at some point, being on the Mego Museum site and seeing people make custom figures. And along with Doc Mego, there's a company called Classic TV Toys and Figures Toy Company, I believe is it. And at some point in the 90s, they were also making reproduction Waltons and Happy Days. I would actually see in Tower Records. So that was Classic TV Toys and I Love Lucy and stuff like that. They were producing 8-inch figures like that.
Oh, yeah, I remember those, yeah.
A sister site of theirs would sell reproduction parts and pieces for these toys as well. So I decided to buy a beater Cornelius and Dr. Zaius off of eBay. Didn't care about, I don't even know if they had their outfits. I was only looking for decent heads, and I had bodies and stuff that I could swap them out on, whatever. It didn't matter. So what I did was, for whatever reason, I had it in my head that I wanted to make taxi driver figures.
Oh,
with Cornelius and Dr. Zaius. I bought heads. They may have had body. I think I just bought heads and then cheapo bodies from Figures Toy Company. And they have all these 8-inch clothing items you can buy. So I made a Travis Bickle Cornelius.
I got some bad ideas in my head.
Nice.
And got like a bomber jacket.
Yeah.
You know, basically him when he's got the mohawk, but it's Cornelius's head on there. So jeans, boots, a bomber jacket, even like a yellow shirt like he wears in the movie. Pretty close. And then
that's awesome.
Dr. Zaius ended up being the Senator Palatine character. So he's just in a suit.
Nice.
They're in my boxed stuff somewhere waiting to get displayed. Other than that, I don't have any of the original figures still to this day.
I have a Cornelius that you got.
Yeah, you have a Cornelius that I got you. And they didn't come with stuff. The Soldier Ape came with all kinds of accessories. Yeah. And I would look at those on eBay as well and just kind of be like, oh, well, they don't have any of their stuff. And I really should have gotten one of those just in their outfit, because the outfits are really cool for cheap. I never did. I never got a General Ursus or Urko from back then either. But then, of course, back in 2013 now that Mego came back?
Oh, gosh, that makes sense.
As a company, started reproducing stuff again and eventually got to Planet of the Apes. I thought about getting Cornelius and Zaius again, but just decided not to. I had the ones from EMCE or MC are perfectly fine reproductions.
Well, I will say the head sculpts for the newer Mego Planet of the Apes figures are not as good as the vintage ones. And I haven't been able to compare them to the EMC ones, but I'd be willing to say that maybe the EMC ones are better too. They're not great.
And I don't know if by that time, because I haven't opened the ones that I have, which I'll get to in a second here, if they were already making the hard plastic heads as opposed to vinyl heads. Seems like the hard plastic heads should have more detail.
Right.
Yeah, I can't compare them either because all of mine are basically boxed up. But I did at one point through Amazon, I got not Cornelius, but Caesar, who is basically Cornelius. Yeah. Galen, Caesar, and Cornelius were all played by Roddy McDowell, so they're all the same face. So I got the Caesar. I mean, it looks fine to me. I've kept him in his box, but again, I haven't actually held up the EMCE Cornelius that I have to compare it. The outfit is a little bit different. I think that's why I got him instead of Cornelius. I believe he comes with a rifle. And then I did get the General Ursus that they released because it was very different from the Ursus Urko that they had originally produced. The outfit's completely different because one of them didn't have a helmet, but one of them did. And this one has a helmet, but it's an all-black outfit, and I thought he was kind of cool as a
he's
sort of outlier figure that's not directly reproduced from the originals, but harkens back to it. Those two I have of the modern Mego company, and they're cool. I still have them in their boxes. I'm sure at some point I'll finally get rid of those. Yeah, so I have, I guess, 6 total Planet of the Apes Mego style figures these days, and that satisfies my obsession just fine.
That's good. I feel like there's going to be, for me at least, another era of Planet of the Apes collecting down the road at some point. But I think I would be mainly focusing on the reaction line. Trying to get that play set is definitely something on my agenda. It's just something magical about those faces and about the clothing of the Mego figures. There's something magical about that.
It's one of those, like the Star Trek line, where there's huge inaccuracies, particularly in that line with the aliens. Like, none of the aliens looked like what was on the show to great liberties. And the clothes on these guys don't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. I mean, Cornelius is fine. The green jumper type suit. Zaius, they're just, the prototypes are interesting because they were a little bit more detailed, and you get some more hieroglyphics they had on their clothes. Mm-hmm. Those kind of leather things in the front and their boots, but they simplified a lot of it. The prototypes there were some popular models of the Planet of the Apes figures that were the right scale. So they took the heads off those, popped them on some bodies, made clothes out of denim and for the prototypes. And there were actually pictures that ended up in promotional ads catalogs, with those prototype figures before the actual ones were made. Kind of like the Star Wars stuff, using the adventure people for their very early ads. I always love stuff like that. It's all about those head sculpts, man. They just put the whammy on the hardcore.
Yeah, I get it.
Even when I think about it now, even though I can go look at figures, those memories are so much more interesting to me to think about how struck I was by their visages. The
strangeness of the Planet of the Apes characters in the movies and also in action figure form never enters it's interesting. I was just thinking about this, that they never enter the territory of Uncanny Valley. They remain accepted. The only time I've ever seen something that creeped me out is when I saw Edward G. Robinson's makeup for his original version of Dr. Zaius.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. Don't ever look that up. It'll give you nightmares. There's an artificiality to the ape faces from these movies and in action figure form that never feels Uncanny Valley. I accept it. It's awesome.
Like I said, they're perfectly imperfect.
Yes.
They got what they needed out of that. And I'm sure, using that Edward G. Robinson thing as an example, that they went through multiple variations and tested them, took test shots, and like they do with makeup and hair in movies on regular human characters until they got something that wasn't hideous and or uncanny. That works. That gives the feel of what we're going for, even though it might not be very accurate. I still feel like they are accurate enough. Obviously not the orangutan faces and the gorilla, but the chimp faces look like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So
very cool.
Alrighty. Well, we'll take another quick break and then we'll come back with our finishing topics.
Planet of the Apes Fortress with Sun Reflector. Figures sold separately by Mego. Planet of the Apes Forbidden Zone Trap. Figures sold separately by Mego.
All right. So, Ronnie, you said you had a local locale this time. Let's hear about it.
Well, this one is less nostalgic and more exciting.
I'll be the judge of that.
Exciting comes with a caveat, I guess. Like, where does the excitement come from? There's a reason why. So this local locale has somehow become a place where when we hang out with extended family for a birthday, or most of the time it's just birthdays, we go to this place for breakfast. The most recent time we had met up for breakfast here was for, I believe it was September or October. It was either my birthday or our daughter Faith's birthday. When I was sitting in there that last time, I had made a note to myself, I have since forgotten and then remembered recently, This is a place that does all the things. I'm talking about Fresno Breakfast House on Bullard and Bullard and Marks. It's got like a fountain out front. You can sit out there if you want and listen to water. And it's in one of these, one of the most boring and mundane shopping centers that Fresno has to offer.
Strip mall. That's a strip mall.
Strip mall based on really half-assed Spanish mission-style architecture.
Yeah.
And it's nestled into the corner of that place. This place has been around for a while. I used to go there for family events even before I moved to New York. We're eating there and I'm looking around, and it's usually early in the morning when we meet up. Early for a family gathering, which is probably around 9. And there's always some old pals hanging out talking. Well, I'll get to that in a moment. But inside there's a big mural of like a Central Valley scene. There's a lot of light pinks and light greens, and there's a tree on the inside that's alive with lights on it, and there's a whole row of plants and stuff around the perimeter that are all real. None of them are fake. Kind of amazing, actually. And sometimes there's a guy in there playing the piano. It's kind of an amazing location. And Mark, I thought that when you and I are retired and we're still doing this podcast, which we will be, we need to figure out a way to host some episodes over breakfast while we're sitting in this place, because you and I used to go to the chicken pie shop. We've talked about this. The chicken pie shop had a kind of character. I've not been able to find a breakfast place with a kind of character like this until I opened my eyes this last time, realized that the Fresno Breakfast House is special. Have you been there before?
I have been there, and I've been to the one I don't think is there anymore on Cedar and Ashland.
Uh-huh.
Actually been to that one more.
I don't think I've been to that one.
Yeah, I don't think it's around anymore, but it was on the north side of Ashland, just west of Cedar. And a strip mall, but I remember Carlita and I going there a good handful of times, and we did go to the one on Bullard and West, and I didn't like it as much as the other one.
I don't have any perspective on the other one on Cedar and Ashland. It's funny because I'd eaten there so many times, but had never really noticed the special qualities of this place until the most recent time when there weren't as many people. Maybe that was part of it. Like there weren't as many people eating that day. And then I sort of marked it in my brain as something to come back to. Have since thought like that's a Cambridge and Waushon location for us for the future. Whether we're recording or not, I think that would be the place to go for the unique breakfast experience. It's something that Mark and I have not had in our lives for a while, at least since the chicken pie shop's been gone.
Yeah, I'm trying to think right now of some good breakfast places that we've gone to. There was one downtown, which I don't think is there anymore, that we went to once and really enjoyed. They had some great biscuits and gravy.
Mm-hmm.
Cleo is a fan of biscuits and gravy and almost always gets it when we go get breakfast.
As am I.
Which I love. You know, the place that we went to on our downtown Clovis, which I've now completely forgotten the name of, Sandy's Country Junction.
Yeah.
No, that's a fun little diner-esque place. Yeah, I don't know.
A breakfast place needs to check 2 boxes for me. Like Sandy's is cool. It's got the diner feeling, but there's got to be it's got to have the diner feeling with a little bit of something else. There's got to be an atmosphere there that you can't find anywhere else. Like that's for me, like what elevates a breakfast place is like this uniqueness. This place has it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I really hate that shopping center. I never go there unless I absolutely have to.
Just got to go in with blinders.
I go across the street all the time to the Xerox shop.
Oh, yes.
I hate across the street. So
one of these days we got to talk about the...
Don't even go there. That's already on my list.
It's so good.
Don't do it. Don't steal my shit, son. Steal my good ideas. I'm gonna come over there to Fowler, wherever the hell you live, and knock you in the jaw.
It's called sharing, Mark. It's called sharing.
No. No, don't take my stuff.
Well, that's my special little thing there. I had to bring that up.
Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters, and Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.
How about you?
Well, I hemmed and hawed last episode about what I was going to do, and I had a childhood treat I could have done. I had my weird personal lore story that I went with. I had another personal lore story I could have gone with, and I have to admit, I sort of got hyperbolic on that, like nothing ever happened to me as a kid, and quickly realized, well, I've already talked about almost losing the tip of my pinky finger on an episode when we compared Richard Keel stories.
Yeah.
And I also got my head cracked open when I was a kid too, which is also on my list of stories to tell. But I guess those things didn't garner the attention I was craving, so I don't count them. But anyway, so this childhood treat was relevant because I had actually received some of these in the care package that I got from my coworkers.
Ah, yes.
From a local place, but I'm not talking about this local place right now. But this goes way back to when my mom and sister and I would go shop in Fashion Fair, which was pretty regular during the late 70s to mid 80s. I would go with them. I'd always have to sit in the women's clothing stores while my sister tried on clothes for what felt like an hour. Listen to the music being piped in. Go to Carl's Jr. sometimes. We'd go to the restaurant in Weinstock sometimes.
Side note, you and I both are still living that life. Going shopping.
No, I don't do that. I don't go with them. I do not go with them when they're shopping. Like, nope, I don't do it because I hated it as a kid.
Oh man, I totally do. I kind of love it now. I sit there and stare at the wall or shop eBay.
There were places that we would hit every time. Oh, not every time, but some, Orange Julius was in there. Baskin Robbins was always a nice treat to get. Right in the middle of the mall where the men's Macy's is now, there's like a Starbucks kiosk in there, that kind of big center section. In one of the corner spaces, I think it's a jewelry store now, there was a Moreau's Nut House.
Yep.
And we'd always go there. This is one of those early examples of the bulk buying. And there's stuff like this all over the place now, where there's just individual candy pieces in a plexiglass container that you get how much you want and go buy it. And there are a number of things like Swedish Fish that I would always get when I would go there. Tiger butter. Is it tiger butter or tiger milk? There's some candy confection that's tiger something. I can't remember even what it tasted like, but we would get that. It was like striped, like a tiger stripes. But the one thing that I absolutely loved was butter, toffee, peanuts. So if it wasn't Swedish Fish, it was those, or maybe possibly both sometimes if I got lucky. And I loved butter toffee peanuts as a kid. Probably, after that place left and the mall changed and I grew up, I don't think I had them for years, but I've always loved them. You encounter them sometimes in trail mixes or other kind of mixes and stuff. But this is one of those things that as an adult, I would go, why don't I have that? I can buy whatever I want, right? One of the first places I encountered them was actually at Whole Foods. They have, a whole section of nuts and things and grains and whatever. They don't anymore, but they did sell containers of butter toffee peanuts. And they were actually one of the cheaper items you could get in that area because nuts, as we all know, like especially cashews and pecans and things like that, are rather expensive. Peanuts, not so much. And these were, I think, like I could get a container of them for $4.99 or something, which I think was roughly £1 worth. And this may seem to someone like you and any other local people like a no-brainer, but also obviously Sierra Nut House sells them.
Yeah.
As a kid, I don't ever remember going out there. I passed by it all the time because I had a friend who lived right near that original store, which is now gone. I just drove by it the other day and it's empty. So we have a local place called Sierra Nut House that produces all kinds of sweets and candies like Moreau's Nut House does and did. Same kind of stuff, but they're local. You know, all their almonds are locally grown, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. I don't think peanuts grow here, but they do a lot of local stuff and dried fruits. And Fresno is a big agricultural area. And they sell them too in 1 pound bags. And again, they're relatively cheap for the stuff that they sell. When I got hurt, the gals at work had contacted my wife and were like, what should we get Mark? We're not going to do flowers and that kind of stupid stuff. We're going to do treats, things that he likes. And so they told them some regular candy bars that I like. And then, he really likes butter toffee peanuts and chocolate covered peanuts from Sierra Nut House. I had a 1 pound bag of each of those in the care package. And I've been home for 6 or so weeks. I kept that bag of butter toffee peanuts for last, and I still actually have some. So I snack on them during the day and absolutely love them.
I love that stuff too.
One of my all-time favorite treats in the history of the known universe.
Butter toffee is amazing. Almond roca was always in my grandparents' home. And that toffee inside those chocolate and the little crumbled almonds, I think toffee, by today's candy standards, are old people candy.
Yeah. And I mean, this is a different kind of toffee. It's not like the toffee in the inside of candies. It's a hard shell. It's sugar turned into hardened caramel.
Exactly. And I love butter toffee peanuts too. And my daughter's into that stuff. And I think they see toffee as like stuff that old people eat. And that's exactly what we are. So it makes sense.
Well, Heath candy bars is an old person candy bar, right?
Yep, for sure.
Toffee
Heath
like that, or English toffee that grandmas and my grandpa used to make English toffee all the time.
Yeah.
This is something different, though. To me, this is not toffee like what's inside of those things at all. So you just need to slip it to them and not tell them what it's called. They're caramel covered peanuts.
And the peanuts are always salted too. So you have that salt with the toffee. Oh, it's so good.
There is a trail mix, quote unquote, trail mix that Walmart sells that my sister tuned me on to. It's like Cajun spice trail mix or something. And it has butter toffee peanuts in it. And they're really good.
Oh, man.
Kind of pick them out and eat. They're very good butter toffee peanuts. And that mixes. She got me that when I got out of the hospital or back home from rehab. She had a bag of that for me, which I immediately tore through.
It reminds me, too, of See's Candy Peanut Brittle, which was a family staple, too. Heavenly.
Their peanut brittle is amazing.
It really is.
I mean, that's more akin to what this is to me in a way, that hard coating. So if your kid likes peanut brittle, they're going to like butter toffee peanuts.
Yeah.
Call them brittle peanuts.
Another aspect of this, too, that I haven't really mentioned is that our youngest, Faith, she's allergic to peanuts. So it has changed the household relationship to having peanuts around.
Yeah. No, don't do it then.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. And like my wife and I were just talking about how long it's been since we've gone to have Thai food. And so that's on our list of things to do when we're empty nesters.
Yeah.
Thai food and peanut brittle.
Thai food, you gotta be careful with a lot of Indian food, a lot of other places, a lot of other Asian foods use peanuts, and you don't think about that unless you need to.
That's right.
All right. Well, any final thoughts?
No. But of course, as I have written down on my script here, this has been fun.
Are you excited?
I'm excited. This was a great episode. It says here I should say, that was fun. This is a great episode.
You're going a little crazy on the notes now that I've harangued you about it.
Well, anytime I get in trouble, I really try to go and I really try to make...
I better write that down.
mend
I need to write I had fun, because I probably didn't, but...
Oh, man. Listen, ever since you harangued me about the note-taking app, you should have seen... You want to see my Mr. Rogers notes? Look at this.
There you go.
Pretty good, right?
I generally type mine, but that works too.
Listen, folks, when you get constructive critique, take it to heart and make an effort.
Make a damn list.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well,
take us
another
out.
Thing. One last thing I want to mention is that Super 7 also just announced the Big Bird Snuffleupagus Reaction 2-pack. I
saw
am
that.
just fucking like it's almost like, when will the world give me a break? Like, I feel so lucky that these companies are making stuff that is exactly what I've always wanted. But at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do this?
Yeah. Just buy a Snuffleupagus Fisher-Price Little People figure.
Which is about, I don't know if you've seen the price of the Little People Snuffleupagus.
I'm sure they're bad. I've looked at him a couple times.
It's he's the most expensive one. And so I'm like, okay, $40 for a really beautiful 2-pack of brand new reaction figures that includes Big Bird and Snuffleupagus, or $40 or more for a Fisher-Price Little People 2-inch.
That
for
looks
a 2-inch piece of plastic.
so
I'm not
goofy.
sure. Not sure.
He's one of the goofy ones. Anyway.
Yeah, he's great. That's the last thought. Remember, folks, until we meet again, have fun, stay weird, and keep collecting.
Or be normal, like we are.
Yeah. Stay normal, folks.
Because this is totally normal stuff we're talking about.
That's right.
You damn dirty ape!
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror. We'll cover all the subgenres, so join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Cambridge and with Sean is a Weirding Way Media podcast.
By Mego.